In recent years, incidents of Chinese tourists behaving poorly abroad have frequently made headlines, with Japan being one of the countries most affected. As the end of the year approaches, many are planning long trips, and reports of thefts on airplanes are becoming more common. A Japanese passenger interviewed by a local TV program shared his experience on a flight to China. He woke up to find his cash and bank cards missing. Although he reported the incident to the police in China, he was told investigating this case would take too much time. Left with no other choice, he had to accept the loss. On November 29th, Fuji TV advised travelers to be cautious of theft when flying, specifically warning about thefts by Chinese passengers on routes frequented by wealthy travelers. This report is reminiscent of another incident in September on a flight at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Video footage from that case shows a Chinese man rummaging through overhead compartments, searching bags that clearly did not belong to him. When no one reacted, he brazenly dragged someone else's bag to his seat and sifted through it for valuables. The man appeared confident that his theft would go unnoticed. However, his actions, which lasted several minutes, were recorded in full by a vigilant passenger. The person filming explained that they initially found the man's behavior suspicious, as no one should be unsure of where their own luggage is. When the man began rummaging through multiple bags, it became clear he was stealing. After capturing the incident on video, the passenger quickly alerted the flight attendants, who informed ground staff. Upon landing, ground personnel confronted the man, asking directly whether he had committed theft. The suspect claimed he had taken the wrong bag and returned it to the overhead compartment. However, the video evidence left no room for doubt about his crime. Viewers of the video expressed their shock, questioning how the man could commit theft in a crowded cabin. Some speculated he might be a professional thief using flights as his hunting ground. Others urged travelers to stay vigilant, noting that even fellow countrymen might not always be trustworthy. This is not the first time Chinese theft has targeted Japanese individuals. Recently, a Chinese woman shared her frustration online about hiring a cleaning company run by fellow Chinese to assist her Japanese clients. Instead of completing the cleaning and disposing of garbage, the cleaners reportedly stole valuable items from the property. Police were later called to collect evidence.
So
in the end, they just left some stuff lying around, didn't even finish the job, and didn't take what they were supposed to take. They left a mess, didn't do the work, and even stole the air conditioner and unscrewed the faucets to take them too.
The incident sparked strong reactions online. Some commenters advised avoiding dealings with Chinese businesses to save trouble, while others sarcastically referred to such thieves as national heroes embodying the spirit of Chinese culture. Beyond theft, some Chinese are also criticizing Japanese people online. This Chinese woman lives in Japan.
I've always known Japanese people like to meddle in other people's businesses. They are always so nosy, but I never thought they would mess with me like this. So here's what happened. I was going to the convenience store near my house to grab something, and my older son insisted on coming along. I thought, sure, why not? It's close anyway. So it would be like taking him out for a little stroll. So I put him in the basket on my bike just for fun, you know. The whole trip was only going to take a few minutes. Look, this is how I put him in the basket. He was having the time of his life. But as soon as I stepped out of the door, I hadn't even gone a few seconds before this old Japanese lady stopped me. I quickly got off the bike, and then she started lecturing me, saying I shouldn't ride like that. I told her, it's fine, don't worry, I always do this. But she just wouldn't let it go. She got all worked up and said she was going to call the police. That really scared me. I knew she was serious. And the police here actually respond to this kind of thing. They will come within minutes because they don't have much else to do. Lost cats, lost dogs, they take care of everything. So I had no choice but to push the bike all the way back home. But honestly, I was so mad I could explode.
Despite the woman's anger when discussing the issue, online commenters did not side with her. One user remarked, "Does she think living in China means you don't have to respect human life? People like this who don't understand the laws and rules of another country shouldn't stay abroad." Another commented, "The real issue lies in the difference between respect for human life in civilized societies and the lack of it in ignorant cultures. In a developed society, there is a strong sense of responsibility for both the elderly and children. But in less developed and narrow-minded communities, people believe children belong to them, so they can do whatever they want, assuming no harm will come. This reflects a lack of respect for life and basic humanity. While some individuals behave poorly abroad, back in China, others have turned to boycotting Japanese goods. Uniqlo has recently found itself at the center of controversy. On November 28th, the BBC aired an interview conducted by Japanese journalist Mariko Oi with Tadashi Yanai, CEO of Uniqlo and Japan's richest man. When asked whether the raw materials used in their clothing involved human rights issues, Yanai responded, "We do not use cotton from Xinjiang." After a brief pause, he added, "Actually, it gets too political if I say any more, so let's stop here." In the video, Yanai's response was very brief, and he avoided elaborating. However, as the clip spread widely in China, it sparked outrage among nationalist groups, leading to a self-initiated online movement to boycott Uniqlo. From now on, I'm done with Uniqlo. Everything I've had from them, time to pack it up and toss it out. Uniqlo, 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 Uniqlo. All this stuff. I feel like a traitor. I just wore this yesterday. Wait, this is from them too? And this jacket? Oh, even these thermal pants. Alright, that's it. I've packed it all up. Brothers, I've been a traitor for so many years. My apologies. A man used scissors to cut up his Uniqlo clothes to demonstrate his determination to boycott the brand. In 2022, the US imposed strict regulations on imports from Xinjiang. Many global brands pulled products made with Xinjiang cotton, leading to backlash in China. Brands like H&M, Nike, Burberry, and Adidas faced boycotts in response. While calls to boycott Uniqlo and remove it from the Chinese market gained traction, others expressed different opinions. One person commented, "It's your choice to buy or not to buy Uniqlo. That's your right." Another pointed out on Phoenix News, Uniqlo uses cotton from other regions in China and manufactures its products in China. Boycotting them harms Chinese farmers, garment workers, store staff, and mall employees. Uniqlo is a major tenant in malls. Who can replace them? If you truly love your country, support your compatriots instead of blindly boycotting. A post on the platform X stated, "With crises erupting everywhere in China, it feels like every few days a new country or company becomes the target of hate." Isaac Stonefish, CEO of Consultancy Strategy Risks, noted that businesses in both the US and China are under growing political pressure. He said, "Not a single large company can remain politically neutral anymore. Both Beijing and Washington want companies to choose sides, and Tokyo will continue to lean closer to the United States in this matter." Uniqlo has been in business for 40 years and is currently operating over 2,500 stores worldwide. Its parent company, Fast Retailing, recently surpassed $20 billion in annual sales. Ben Cavender, managing director of the China Market Research Group in Shanghai, told Reuters that it's too early to predict the lasting damage to Uniqlo. Even if they lose a small percentage of Chinese customers, the impact on the industry will likely be minimal. Anti-Japan sentiments have resurfaced in various incidents, including the Fukushima wastewater controversy in 2023. On August 24, 2023, Japan began releasing treated nuclear wastewater from Fukushima into the Pacific Ocean. The move, amplified by Chinese state media, caused a wave of anti-Japan protests in China, leading to other malicious actions. On November 29th, a Chinese man, Jiang Zhuojun, stood trial for vandalizing Tokyo's Yasukuni Shrine. On May 31st, Jiang and accomplices used red spray paint to write "toilet" on the shrine's stone pillars. Another accomplice, Dong Guangming, allegedly urinated on a stone inscribed with the shrine's name. Jiang was arrested in July, while Dong and another suspect fled Japan and are now wanted. In court, Jiang admitted to driving the accomplices to the shrine and buying the spray paint. He claimed he had no interest in history and only acted to protect the ocean in response to Japan's wastewater release. Jiang Zhuojun's actions were reportedly motivated by Japan's treated nuclear wastewater release in 2023. According to insiders, Jiang, who was arrested for aiding Dong Guangming in the vandalism, was once a hardworking international student in Japan. Before his arrest, he worked at a Japanese language education institute, where he trained other students. Ironically, critics point out that Japan not only nurtured someone who later acted against the country, but also provided him with the platform to influence others. These incidents reflect the deep-seated animosity some Chinese people hold toward Japan. However, just as tensions seemed to reach a boiling point, the Chinese government made a dramatic policy shift, completely reversing its stance. On November 22nd, Chinese authorities reinstated visa-free short-term visits for Japanese citizens. Japan was added to a list of countries, including Malaysia, Bulgaria, and Romania, whose citizens are eligible for a 30-day visa-free stay in China. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said the policy aims to facilitate exchanges and visits. What are the potential benefits of China granting visa-free entry to Japanese citizens in 2024? Economic considerations may play a significant role. Recent data from China's State Administration of Foreign Exchange shows a travel deficit of $158 billion for the first 3 quarters of 2023, a 30% increase compared to the same period last year. This rise is attributed to the continued recovery of outbound travel and study abroad. Among all destinations, Japan remains the top choice for Chinese tourists this year. Data from Trip.com shows that during this year's National Day holiday, Japan was the most popular overseas travel destination for Chinese tourists, followed by Thailand and South Korea. According to a survey conducted in September by Tokyo-based Intersect Communications, 53% of 556 Chinese respondents aged over 10 chose Japan as their top destination for outbound travel during the October National Day holiday. Cities like Tokyo and Osaka were especially popular. Data from the Japan National Tourism Organization showed that in August 2024, the number of foreign visitors to Japan increased by 16.4% compared to 2019, reaching 2.9 million. Among them, Chinese tourists made up the largest group at 745,800, followed by visitors from South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and the United States. Including travelers from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, Chinese-speaking visitors accounted for over half of all foreign tourists to Japan. The data shows that Chinese mainland tourists have reclaimed their position as the top group visiting Japan. If this trend continues with more outbound than inbound travelers, the tourism trade deficit between China and Japan will widen. Offering visa-free entry to Japanese tourists could encourage spending in China and help address this imbalance. However, observers believe this move reflects Beijing's struggle to revive its economy amid a broader downturn. According to Chinese media, Japanese travelers enjoyed visa-free entry for stays of up to 15 days before the COVID-19 pandemic. However, this policy was suspended in March 2020 when the pandemic began. Since then, China's tourism industry has struggled, with a sharp decline in foreign visitors, particularly from developed countries. To revive the sector and stimulate economic recovery, Chinese authorities gradually reinstated visa-free policies for several countries, including South Korea and many European nations, but not Japan. This led to dissatisfaction in Japan, with calls for China to restore the visa-free arrangement. However, Beijing insisted on reciprocal visa-free treatment for Chinese citizens traveling to Japan. Due to public opposition in Japan to grant visa-free entry to Chinese travelers, the reinstatement of the policy was delayed. Observers speculate that the timing of this visa-free policy reflects the severity of China's economic downturn. Despite the policy, media reports suggest that Japanese citizens may not flock to China for travel, as extreme nationalist sentiments against Japan remain high in the country. Recently, an incident in Tengchong, Yunnan, sparked controversy when a hotel refused to accommodate Japanese guests. On November 6, A woman accompanied by a Japanese friend attempted to check into the Xinjizhou Hot Spring Hotel, but was denied entry. A dispute ensued, during which hotel staff even sounded an air raid siren.
In Hengchong, we don't accept Japanese guests. You're one person, you don't represent the government. You can't just refuse me based on what you say. That's not how it works.
Later, the hotel staff responded to questions online, saying, "They left, and we absolutely do not allow Japanese people to stay here." The hotel's actions were praised by some nationalist voices, who vowed to travel to Tengchong to show their support. However, online opinions were divided. Some criticized the incident as another example of classic hate education, while others questioned the practicality of visa-free policies if foreign tourists face such difficulties. Critics argued that the hotel's actions contradicted Beijing's recent push to boost the economy and attract foreign tourists. Scholars believe anti-Japanese sentiment in China is deeply entrenched. Although the government's stance can shift quickly, the public is unlikely to abandon these views in the short term. This is attributed to the Chinese government's long-term and systematic anti-Japanese education campaigns. Professor Ako Tomoko of the University of Tokyo, an expert in modern Chinese studies, noted that she studied in Shanghai about 20 years ago when anti-Japanese education already emerged. However, back then it was more open, allowing for discussions on history from multiple perspectives. In recent years, as the space for public discourse has narrowed, opportunities for such discussions have dwindled. She explained that patriotic education is closely tied to historical education, and, when introduced to young students lacking critical thinking skills, can foster hatred and oversimplified perceptions of specific countries or peoples. She warned that China's current approach to historical education, which encourages uncritical acceptance of official narratives, will only worsen Sino-Japanese relations. Other experts argue that the root cause of anti-Japanese sentiment is not tied to historical disputes, but rather to the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian governance. They suggest that such regimes often create external enemies to divert attention from domestic conflicts and contradictions. Targets like Iran, the United States, and Japan serve as convenient scapegoats. No matter what disasters occur or what mistakes are made by those in power, blame can always be shifted to these foreign entities. Historically, the CCP initially targeted the United States as its primary adversary, especially before diplomatic relations were established. However, under Deng Xiaoping's leadership, China adopted a policy of reform and opening up to revive its faltering economy. The opening up was directed not at Russia or North Korea, but at the Western world led by the United States. As China sought investment and technology from these nations, it became less practical to portray the US as the enemy. Japan, on the other hand, was a perfect scapegoat. Post-World War II restrictions on Japan's military capabilities, including its lack of nuclear weapons and conventional armed forces, ensured it posed no real military threat to China. Coupled with historical grievances, this made Japan an ideal target for nationalist propaganda.